Imo and Kogi, and even in Baos, the fact that the elections were marred by certain irregularities like ballot snatching, like violence. We had stories about kidnapping of INEC officials and, the seizure of BVAS machines and all of those stories. We also heard stuff about, gun plays and all of that stuff, and 11 million naira seized by EFCC in some of these states. I mean, the stories are not palatable in any way. I used to think that by now we would have learned our lessons, both the politicians and the people, but it looks like we are very far from learning our lessons. However, people like Uzodinma are saying, or should I say Uzodinma is saying, that his re-election or his election victory has vindicated him. A lot of people have been saying he's not popular. A lot of people have been saying he's not a good governor. However, the people of Imo State have spoken and they have re-elected him. That is his argument. Some commissioner in his cabinet is saying that, the opposition, that's the Labour Party and the PDP, the main opposition, were not even ready. They had factions, they were divided. They were fighting. I mean, we had stories about Labour Party fighting, different factions and all of that. And so that commissioner was also saying they were not ready. And, it put a thought in my head, because every time we get to hear stories from Owerri, we get to hear stories from Olu, we get to hear stories from different parts of Imo State, they tell you and I living in River State that, hey, it is because the governor is not popular and the people are trying to resist the government, and that's why there is so much insecurity, because he's also trying to oppress the people. We get to hear stories like that. When I do open phone lines and we're talking about Imo State, those are some of the things that we get to hear. However, the results are showing otherwise, and I don't know if you watched the video where Uzodinma in a white shirt and tie was dancing with his wife, and they were having fun celebrating the victory. And yet again, he's saying he has been vindicated. They call him the Supreme Court governor. I'm guessing that will not be a case anymore. I'm guessing now that he has won through the polls. I mean, it stands to be what's the word now? It stands to be objected in court. They have to go to court to object that. But right now, he is the governor as re-elected, or the governor-elect, as re-elected and as posited by INEC. But let's get to Kogi State. In Kogi State, the SDP candidate is saying, this is one of the most hilarious things I could ever think of. The elections were marred with irregularities, rigging, insecurity, and all of the likes. However, I will not go to court because the court will not be able to give me justice. It will be a waste of my time. And that's the reaction we are getting from Kogi State. For Dino Malaya is also calling. Well, it's not the same media, because a lot of people were like, a former national legislator, he was supposed to pull enough weight in the election, but he didn't go as he planned. He didn't go as he, desired or had goals, to achieve. And he's calling for the cancellation of the elections. But there's another question I like to ask to add to the various talking points that we have reeled out on the show, or that I have reeled out on the show. And that question is, if you've been following the collation of results from the three states, you would have heard different agents. And just like the SDP candidate in Kogi State and, the opposition parties in Imo and in Kogi State, you would have heard them rejecting some of the results emanating from the different polling units and wards. You would have heard all of that stuff. And so now the question in my head is, are we ever going to have an election where the objections are very minimal? Not as, not as. So I've got a correspondent who was very much present at the Bayelsa State election. He was giving us he was the one giving us the report. It was the one making us understand what was happening in that area. It was the one who, gave us some of the figures that we were able to, bring your way through our news bulletins. I'm talking about Jarok Ujewe. Jarok, welcome on the show. Good to have you.
Yes, good afternoon, Kalada. Good to be here with you.
I hope nobody tried to kidnap you.
Oh, no. The only incident I had was on Friday, precisely last Friday. When two rival groups clashed at the main gates leading to the state police headquarters in Yenogwa.
That's Azikoro. Is it Azikoro? What's the name of that place now?
It's at the back of Government House. Yes, it's at the back of Government House.
Okay.
Yes. The two groups concerned Bayelsans, concerned peace loving Bayelsans and peace mother group. So for the concerned loving Bayelsans, they were clamoring for the continuous stay of the current commissioner of police, who was transferred to this state only at the start of last week, while the peace mother group were clamoring for the immediate redeployment of CP Alausa. Commissioner of the full name of the commissioner of police is CP Tunlani Alausa. He came to the state just last Monday at about this time to assume duty ahead of the elections, but they were alleging that he was on a mission to ensure that one of the major contenders will have an easy ride as far as the election is concerned.
All right. So what other thing could
that was the only day I was tear gassed, as a matter of fact.
Oh, you were tear gassed?
Yes.
Like in River State. Okay, so let's get to other details. Tell me, what did you experience, during the electioneering process, when the elections were happening? What experiences can you share?
Well, the kind of stories I heard about Bayelsa State before going was that it's going to be a very violent outing for both journalists who were covering the exercise and even the voters and the party agents that will be involved. As a matter of fact, before arriving, we were told from impeccable security sources that 5 local government areas in Bayelsa State are flashpoints. The likes of Southern Ijo, Nimbe local government, Brass local government, Ekeremo, and of course Sagbama local government. Surprisingly, on the day of election, Yenogwa was generally peaceful. There was heavy presence of security officials, combined team of the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy, the Nigerian Police, as well as the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. They were all on ground. The major points along Isaac Borough Road, you see checkpoints. After every 10 meters, you see a combined checkpoint of police officers, military officers, and even the NSCDC officials. The same thing too at the popular Tombia roundabout too. Heavy security presence around that locality, and even the Sani Abasha way, close to the INEC office, in and around the INEC office, the major exit and entry points were fully cordoned off by security officials. So security was quite tight and there was no movement. That was on Saturday morning in Yenogwa.
All right.
And the few persons who were on essential duty had to walk practically to their various points of work at the time.
Now, because of want of time, I have to pause you now, and I have to ask you this question: did you experience any irregularities? There were reports about snatching of ballot boxes. There were reports about all of that stuff.
In Bayelsa East, where I largely covered the exercise in Sagbama and Ekeremo and some other parts of that senatorial zone, the only form of irregularity that we saw has to do with the issue of vote buying. Vote buying was quite common, and it was surprising. The first point where we noticed it, we saw people selling their vote as low as 2,000 naira.
In Sagbama, yeah.
Yeah, that is funny community where the deputy governor hails from. Where the deputy governor voted, the precise point where he voted. I saw people selling their votes as low as 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira. Then from there, when we went to Ikeremo, we saw people selling their vote for as much as 10,000 naira. And one of the major political party was buying vote for 15,000 naira. By the time we came back to Yonegwa, the price was on the high side. We saw people selling their votes for as much as 20,000 naira. And one of the major contending parties too was buying vote for 25,000 naira. To sum it up, Kalada, at the end of the day, the market closed at 30,000 naira, 35,000 naira.
All right. I would have to say thank you at this point. Thank you very much for your contributions, Jarok. And I'm happy you're back safely.
Thank you.
All right, then. Let's get to all the big stories. I mean, what Jarok has told me is different from what I experienced the last election cycle in Bayelsa State, but we have to move on. I'd like to get your thoughts. But before I do move on, quickly, I've got two other big stories I'd like to bring your way. Nigerians make unfair demands on lawmakers. And this is coming from the Senate President, Senator Akpabio. He's saying, you guys are just too demanding. You guys want to kill the lawmakers. If lawmakers should just, stick to what they are asked to do, which is to make laws and do oversight functions, they will not be re-elected, because lawmakers are also expected to play the role of the executives, provide transformers, provide good roads, provide XYZ projects, and that is not the work of the legislator, he's arguing. But then again, I'm of the school of thought that if the lawmakers were doing the proper oversight functions, then that would mean that the executives will be doing proper executive works. And some people believe, if you do Googling right now and Google, you see a lot of people say, legislative arm. I'm not just talking about the 10th legislative arm of government. I'm talking about previous legislative arm of government. They would tell you that the legislative arm is rubber stamped. I mean, the Ninth National Assembly spent a huge amount of energy trying to convince Nigerians that they were not rubber stamped. But then Lawan, at the time, Senate President, it was like anything the president said is good. So let's quickly run. I do not know if I'll be able to cover the next big story with the time I have left, because I do have a commercial coming up. But the next big story says Tinubu governors spent over 150 billion to win 2023 presidential and guber elections, and it's coming from Salihu Lukman. Remember, he was part of the ESCO in the party APC. He resigned because he felt like the party was not given the dividends of democracy. He had so many issues with how the party was conducting itself, especially the nomination of Abdullahi Ganduje as national chairman, according to certain reports. So I would take that story when I do come back, so please do stay tuned, and I'll take your calls after I explain this very story. Thank you very much. I am Kalada Karubatubo.
Hard Facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
27 minutes gone past the hour. You're still listening to Hard Facts on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Looking at the big stories and making the rounds. I've dealt with two. I've seen a very interesting comment on Facebook, and that reminds me we're live on Facebook, Nigeria Info PH. We're live on YouTube, Nigeria Info PH, and we're active on X, Nigeria Info PH, And before I get to look at that comment on Facebook and the comment on WhatsApp and take your calls, I like to look at the story as written on the Sun newspaper. Tinubu governor spent over 150 billion, 14 billion naira each to win 2023 presidential guber elections, and this is coming from APC chieftain Salihu Lukman, and he said that the monies were spent, at least 150 billion was spent by the president to win the elections, the presidential elections. And he said this is despite the huge amounts used to buy the presidential form, candidate form for the APC, and that was put around 100 million, if I remember vividly. And so the governors also, under the ABC platform, spent about 14 billion naira each, at least 14 billion naira each. Now, the thing with this information is it cannot be verified. It cannot be ascertained. I mean, Salihu Lukman could be making a rough estimation. However, when politicians are at odds with their fellow politicians, they tend to reveal secrets that ordinary Nigerian would not have known in the first place. We've seen situations like that play out in Rivers State, where somebody would come out and say, "Hey, I will talk," and he's telling another politician to mind himself or herself, or else he will reveal their secrets. And so we've seen these things, in different situations where politicians reveal secrets that ordinary Nigerians should not know. And if there is any atom of truth as to what Salihu Lukman, like I said, you should know him. He was part of the executives of the All Progressives Congress. As a matter of fact, he was the vice chairman, Northwest, for the APC, until he resigned, stating that the party was no longer aligned with democratic principles. He argued that with the way that people are using money, to be able to buy positions in the party or to be able to get positions in the party, it will be difficult for the party to establish itself as a progressive party that Nigerians are yearning for the party to be. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, we've been told that legally there is an amount of money that one can spend. There is a ceiling to how much can be spent for campaigns and election matters. What is happening to our laws? Because every now and then we say, our laws are not good enough. Is it the laws that are not good enough, or is it the implementation that is poor? Which means that we need to up the ante for our institutions. I mean, there was an article that I read, I think Daily Trust, it has to do with the permanent secretaries at the federal level, or directors aiming to be permanent secretaries, and the head of service, at the federal level, decided to come up with a structure where not anybody can, just end up being a permanent secretary. You would have to be able to reach a particular standard, and so she now sets exams. And out of about 80 of them who sat for the exams, only about 20 of them passed. And I hear that certain big men, as we like to call them or tag them, are now calling and threatening that if their people don't pass the exams, that heaven will fall. And so, it reminds me of stories like that, because I'm wondering, when are we going to up the ante or strengthen our institutions to the point where individuals can no longer hold sway? but I'm talking too much. It's time for me to open the phone lines and get your views on some of the issues that I've raised on the show. But before I reel out the phone numbers, I'd like to go to Newton Ikire's message on Facebook, where he said, "Good afternoon, Canada. Now that Diri has retained the Creek House, will the FCT minister congratulate his fellow PDP member?" I had to look at the screen to see if the results have finally been announced. We can't say Diri has won just yet. We're waiting for INEC to make the official announcement. However, you should remember that in the month of October, when Supreme Court gave the judgment on the presidential election, Diri was seen at the presidential villa Aso Rock congratulating the president with other APC members. So just maybe is in good terms with the minister of the FCT. And by the way, there was a report that Sarah Ked Dixon may not be in good terms. I think he only attended the campaign of Diri once, thereabout, something like that. So you never can tell. But he said, by the way, did you say the people of Imo have spoken? What a scandalous insinuation, brother. Anyways, this is Nigeria, where journalists are scared to carry out their duties due to the fear of NBC. Now, that is what caught my attention. Now, Newton Ikire, I did not say, I quoted a newspaper publication that quoted the governor of Imo State saying that he has been vindicated. And then I said, put a thought in my head, and I asked a question. I said, a lot of the times when we get to hear reports emanate from Imo State, they are damning reports. But does this not mean that, this could be the reality? I'm talking about the INEC scores. That's a question. You're entitled to your opinion, but you don't come and say, hey, journalists are not. By the way, the report was done by a journalist who did a research, who did an investigation, and it is unfair on the work of that individual to come and say that journalists don't go out to research or do investigations. Very, very sad comment there. I thought I should say it. But moving on, Ikpo Ikanke Udwaka says, Nigerians make unfair demands on lawmakers. I totally agree. Their responsibility are to make laws and check the executive, but Nigerians will pile up in lawmakers' houses going to beg them for money to do traditional marriage. Next time lawmakers come to campaign, we should ask them what law they will make that will improve the life of the masses, instead of asking them to construct roads. I think I may agree with you on that one, Ikpo Ikanke Udwaka. But let's see. Good afternoon, Mr. Kalada. Hope Uzodinma did not win any election. INEC and the judiciary is the only problem we have in Nigeria. If these two groups will help us, Nigeria will be a glorious land. Thanks. All right, that's your opinion. This one says, Podakot, APC win election in Kogi. That election was rigged. It is Ajaka who won that election. A GMA from HA. All right, your opinion as well. For those of you who do not know, Ajaka is the SDP candidate. Okay, I think I've read your message, Newton Ikira, on Facebook. So I'm going to go to the phone lines and hear from the listeners and the callers. 0817 923 0002 and 0817 923 0003. For WhatsApp messages, use this number 0809 0306 416. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear. Ida from Inkoro, welcome on the show.
Yeah, Kalada, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, I want to thank Mahmoud for the election. You can see everybody is peaceful. Uzodinma, I want to congratulate him and other winners. Other people should use their strength who does not win to support Uzodinma or other winners in Kogi State, in Bayelsa State. Yes. So when you win your own too, people will not go to court and support you.
All
and
right.
those who vote and who buy vote, it's not good.
Okay.
Just like River State, when River State election was going on, people come out to vote. Nobody buy vote. We are happy.
You think
so yours, my local government.
So yours.
Breaking.
Okay.
So that you relate River State.
Okay.
not to buy vote again.
Okay.
Let's say we don't buy vote.
All right,
Who will
then.
come out to vote for their own candidate? That's actually the golden one or Rivers
But
won very, very well.
Ida, thank you.
very much.
Ida, thank you very much. I may disagree with you on that one. I was out there on the field. I went to different locations. You were in one location. And I did see, some people exchange money. So what are we saying? But I've got Emeka from Owerri. Emeka, welcome. What is on your mind?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you.
I don't know whether 3 minutes is enough for me to say what I want to say.
Let's try and
One of
summarize.
your callers always says something that we are conquered.
Okay.
We are conquered in this country. Politically speaking, what happened in Imo State? I listen to your guest. Exactly what happened in Bayelsa State happened here. But the only difference is, I don't think the money they gave here was up more than 50,000, 3,000. But I hear from him, I hear about 20,000, 15,000. Canada, the impunity that took place in Imo State. I witnessed, I did not vote in 1979 election in Nigeria. I was kid then. But all the elections from 1979 down to today, the worst thing, even that 2023, 25 and the March 18 was even far better than what transpired here in Imo State. Let me speak where I am. Canada, money was being this out openly.
So, Emeka, you're saying that the people sold their mandate for small amounts of money.
Yes.
Oh,
let me not mention the party because it's known here. Everybody knows the party.
Okay.
They were dishing out money to
Okay.
voters. It happened. Even one lady was almost me in my polling booth. The lady was carrying a handbag by her neck, dishing out this money to voters. So when somebody there observed it and went and pushed this girl, even the citizens were there. The girl never say no, that it did not happen. And the citizens were there looking at it.
All right.
And I want to ask the Canada, maybe I don't know, I'm mistaken, I don't know what I'm doing again. Is it that okay to give money out to lure somebody to vote somebody in a polling booth?
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Law?
Of course it is. It's vote buying. It's a huge offense.
My brother,
offense.
I wish you were in Imo State.
All right then.
This can happen virtually over 70% of the polling booth.
All right.
Even when you call the Olo also, there was no single election in that area.
All right.
I was surprised to hear that the government of Imo State won 27
local governments.
My father, my God.
Emeka, I've got to go. Emeka, I've got to go.
We are conquered.
All right, you can say that for yourself, but I'm not a conquered person. Eze Ken is calling from Ubumini. Eze Ken from Ubumini, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
Good afternoon, Canada, once more.
Yes, welcome.
I don't know if you are aware that during the presidential primaries, that there were much dispensing of hard currency. Are you aware?
I'm listening.
Fine. So, I in particular, I am not surprised of vote buying because it started from somewhere, the upstairs. Then secondly, the president of Senate, that is Akpabio,
All right. Quickly,
crying
please. Quickly.
for Nigerians to expect much from them. And he's trying to shy away from it. So far, when has he gone to his place to call a town hall meeting, either in his district or constituency, to ask the less privileged their yearning and their problems in order to put those things in law, to debate it as a law? Hence, he said that it is only to make law is their problem, and not to build a road and other things. How many times has he the same thing to others? That is my question.
All right, thank you, Ezekiel. Ezekiel, I've got to go now. I've got to go.
Much.
Thank you very much. I've got Muriel. Muriel is calling from Okrika. But Muriel, before you bear your mind, I'd like to announce that the final results have come out from Bayelsa State, and PDP is the winner with 175,000 plus thousand. APC came second with 110 plus thousand, and I think Labour Party came third. I would have to go through the information again. But Muriel, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Of where? Earlier that the federal government has taken quoted that in all their takings, please, they should not take Bayelsa. They should please leave it for PDP. Well, a big congratulations to the governor. Right. And the line was flying foul in KDB. Yeah. And I was laughing, Why
would you be laughing?
During Jonathan period, and I was laughing seriously. Okay. He wants a re-election. Well, if he so desires this KDB, he should provide the funds for them to do a re-election for him. Okay. So he wants more designer things, He wants to be a designer governor. Sorry for him. And for the Bayelsa governorship and this thing, your guest just told us that the cost of our vote has increased. Yeah. Honestly, Canada, because of the increase in fuel prices, the cost of things in the market have increased. Thereby, the cost of our votes have increased as well. And the voters should know, Canada, that what we are suffering now was when we sold our vote at 5,000 naira at most. Okay. But now that we're selling our vote at 20,000 naira, 25,000 and above, so that means our suffering will also multiply 300 or 400%. All right. So they should bear that in mind before they are selling their vote at this rate. All right. Honestly, Canada is so shocking with all the sensitization. People are selling their votes.
All right. Thank you, Canada. Thank you very much. Thank you very much there. Amechi is calling from Onne, but once again, Amechi, I'd like to post you the figures 175,196. That's 175,196 was what PDP scored. 110,108 was what APC scored, and Labour Party scored 905. Amechi from Onne, welcome. Let's talk, please.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Kalada.
Mr. Kalada.
Yes, thank you.
You see, my worry is not that Mr. A or Mr. B won the election.
Okay.
My worry is the system that produced the victorious candidate. And if it continues like this, I wonder the confidence we will have on these institutions.
Okay.
INEC made a proposal and introduced beavers, which cost a lot of money. And this money is just wasted. Today, the beaver is not used.
No, beavers was used.
The last election, the February election, we all saw what happened. And at the end, the illegality became legalized.
Amechi, beavers was used and still is being used. Maybe not how you want it to be used, but beavers is used and was used.
Yeah,
and
beavers
will
is
be
used,
used.
but what is the result?
Okay.
If beavers is used, why do we still have manual voting and manual accreditation and all this?
No. Accreditation is done by only beavers. Accreditation is done by only beavers. If beavers is not used for accreditation, and then you can argue there was no election.
The point is that the beaver became irrelevant because the essence was not actualized.
Oh, okay, if you say so.
You conduct election in a place where every person knows is unsafe. Nothing happens. And the person is declared a winner with such a fabulous figure.
All right.
500 and something.
All right.
And the others were cowed into hiding.
All right.
So when will our INEC get it right? When will INEC put confidence on the heart of people to say, yes, we're on ground, we are to do this, and we can do it? Yeah? It's disappointing.
All right, Amechi, thank you very much. I've got to let you go at this point. Zion from GRA. Zion, welcome. What is on your mind, please?
If I should congratulate anybody, my children will not take me serious. My children will start doubting me. My wife will be rational with the love she has for me. The kind of food she gives me to eat, she may politicize it.
What's your point?
In an atmosphere where 12,000 naira was bidded to win election, in an environment where the police, the security agencies were involved, in an atmosphere where results were written before the election. I'm talking about my seats. I have the evidence.
You would have to send your evidence for me to see, to be able to accept it.
An aberration.
All right.
The truth is this: we can't keep talking and not doing the right thing. The people that collected the money, are they not Nigerians?
They are Nigerians.
Is INEC not a Nigerian product?
It is a
Nigerian
Nigerian
INEC people,
institution.
Nigerian people working there. So we should stop complaining. The government is not the problem. The people are the problem. If the people say we are not collecting money, or that we want to vote by our choice, will they arrest all of them? Why should we even deploy that total number of security agencies to all these states to go and fight crime? I mean, to go and cop election when there are other states are also prone. Was it not when they went for election, somebody went and caused havoc here in River State? If those policemen they removed from River State to go to conduct the election, if they were kept in that station here in River State, will that guy come out to commit this kind of atrocity? Before I leave the floor, sir, mention one country that deploys security agencies during election like Nigeria. One country in the world.
All right,
Mention
Zion, I've got to go. Thank you very much. My time is fast spent. Back to messages on Facebook. Newton Ikera is back and he says, "Oh, I see, but it was a journalist that quoted INEC, and I expected other journalists like the man of the people to call him out." I am going to sound like Senator Akpabio. You put so much unfair responsibilities on me. Newton Ikira, you do so. But moving on now, let's see. Otong Sunday. It is time. Okay, I'm not reading that message. I don't agree. Otong Sunday, and I'm not calling for violence either. So I'm just going to quickly go back to WhatsApp, and let's see what we have there. Canada, INEC, APC has done it again. Please, to avoid heartbreak, never you put your mind on INEC, for they are out to destroy the system. Chris Oyunwenyi with that heavy allegation. This one says, in Nigeria, the people are romancing with their oppressors. As such, our country needs enlightened citizens for things to work. Every society deserves the kind of leadership she gets, but it might not be what she needs. My name is John Owaogugu. All right, John Owaogugu, thank you very much. This one says, you're buying fuel at 670 plus naira per liter, and you say you're not conquered. Just a play. I said I'm not conquered. Why are you forcing me to be conquered? I'm not. You can stay conquered if you want, but I'm not. This one says, the declaration of Governor Uzodinma as the re-elected governor of Imo State by the Independent National Electoral Commission is hilarious and rigging of the highest order. Ends, I condemn the process. I will urge the judiciary to ensure that justice is done whenever the aggrieved parties will be challenging the outcome of this shameful process in the court. Oyike Ordinaka. Let's see. Sito Car from Port Harcourt. For those trying to sound intellectually correct, whether we sell our vote or not, results will still come out, and Nigeria remains Nigeria. I don't know how I feel about how you put it, but someone just sent me an emoji. If result sheets have been filled prior to the elections, I don't think they are credible. Donald from Igruta. But in those places, especially in Kogi State, where field result sheets were found, I think those places were not looked at. They were not taken as part of the electioneering process. Remember, INEC did put out a statement. Remember that? All right. So let's move on now. Good day, presenter. The recent off-cycle election in Nigeria is flawed with an avalanche of irregularities. INEC is rather having a smooth ride to condemnation instead of redeeming our already self-bartered image. Now, the lives of the electorate is not protected and safe in their polling units. The votes no more count. The hoodlums determine election results at the polling units. Afterwards, the Supreme Court turned election umpire. In all, the Nigerian democracy has turned a mere shadow of ridicule. let the National Assembly stop this bloodletting off cycle election. Elder Joel Adolphus from Digima. All right, this one says, man of the people. Greetings. Tinubu governors spend over 150 billion naira and 14 billion naira each to win 2023 presidential election and guber elections. Man of the people, don't forget that Salihu Lukman is an insider and his allegations should not be thrown inside the dustbin. True. APC wasted billions of naira in the name of presidential and governorship elections. No doubt. From Elder Tangod Ability Atuegbu. All right, thank you very much. We're close to another commercial. I'm looking at the screen and there are celebrations in Bayelsa State right now. So many people surrounding the governor, chanting, singing, shaking hands, embracing each other, happy faces. I'm looking at the screen. And people are happy that he has been re-elected as governor of Bayelsa State. But then when you look at the reports, just like in Imo State, that have been emanating from Bayelsa State, there is the argument, there is the debate that more could have been done by Governor Diri in his first term in office. Some say, not much was done by the governor. And but when you look at it, and going yet again by the results, by the scores of INEC, it seems as if those reports have not been put in the dustbin. I'm using the word that Elder Tangod Ability Atuegbu used, and the people are saying we stand with Governor Diri. Or could we argue that the irregularities played a role? We'll leave that for the courts. Like I said earlier, every and any objection will be done in the court. But for now, stay tuned. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at some more comments and we'll talk some more. Just stay tuned.